I am here with Joel from HMF Balling Incorporated. They do merchant services and point of sale. Super excited about this interview. He's a business owner of 20 plus years, stand-up guy here in the community in the Prescott area in Arizona. Super excited to be sitting down with Joel today. Joel, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. I'm just going to jump right into it. What experiences or influences in your life help shape your values as a business owner?
Well, before I started in the merchant services and point of sale world, I worked for some large companies, one of them being MCI WorldCom, back when there was AT&T, MCI WorldCom, and Sprint, and everybody was battling for market share. And when that company was dissolved due to legal reasons, I had left a bad taste in my mouth, and I wanted to go out, create something on my own and not put myself in that same situation, build a business that was focused on helping people and ethics and follow through.
Awesome. And so that transition led you into the merchant services world?
It did.
And what was the real drive and motivation just to start a merchant service point of sale business?
It's interesting. After I left MCI WorldCom, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I just happened to reply to an ad in the merchant services space and had no experience in it, to be honest with you, at all. And went in there and was trained. And I learned how to be really effective for that company. And after I don't think I was even there maybe 9 months. And I just walked out the door and I said, I'm going to do this on my own. And that's exactly what happened. Now, I say that's exactly what happened. It wasn't easy, but that's the path that it went.
Awesome. Let's unpack this path a little bit more, though, because this is something that got people looking to start their own businesses really have a hard time with this. Like, where do you start? When you decided to make that jump, what would you do?
I walked out the door with $5,000.
$5,000.
I had $5,000 in my bank account when I walked out the door.
Oh, wow.
And there's not a lot of money in the merchant services space. You have to have some larger accounts or a lot of accounts. And so that first 2 or 3 years was stressful and challenging. The days were long. I wasn't making any money. I had every reason to quit and go back to the employed world, but I just didn't want any part of it. And I just would not stop. I was going to figure out a way to make this happen, no matter if it killed me. And so we were able to get through that rough area. And I've watched a lot of interviews with entrepreneurs in the past, even the guy that did Dave's Barbecue. I saw on an interview with him where he was bouncing $10 checks, living in the back of his car to get that business off the ground. And so watching those types of things kind of helped give me a little bit of strength to walk through that painful portion of this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what would you say was your why?
I wanted to be the one telling me what to do.
Being your own boss.
Yeah. I after the MCI WorldCom, and it's not just MCI WorldCom, it's just businesses in general. I think that they are what they are. They've got their goals, right? And they want you to fall in line with their goals. And that's totally understandable. At that point in my life, I wasn't interested in following somebody else's goals. I wanted to follow my goals. I wanted to be the one telling me what to do and build the things the way I wanted to have them built. And so that's what happened. And I'm grateful that I didn't quit, because starting a new business is not easy. I don't think it's easy for anybody. That first 5 years is a tough window. It gives us every reason to bow out and say, oh, I can't do it. And some of those times, I think, in certain businesses, in certain situations, are justified. But I could see there was hope, there was light down there somewhere. And I just kept on going, and now here we are. Yep.
In that first few years period when you were really trying to figure it out, was there a strategic pivots that you had to make hey, well, this didn't work so well, but let me kind of maybe pivot just slightly into this different business model, maybe a little bit here, maybe messaging here, this is maybe changing your customer. Like what did that pivot change look like for you?
Normal merchant acquisition on normal merchant accounts that are processing low volumes don't make a lot of money for the business, for us. A couple of things come to mind. One was that for the first 3 years of this business, not only did I have to work this business during the day, but I was actually doing manual labor for a contractor for AT&T and Verizon all over the state of California at night.
Oh, wow.
To have that income coming in to make enough money to continue the business. Number one reason businesses fail is lack of cash flow.
Yep.
right? So you got to figure out where you're going to get that cash, right? And so you're either going to take out loans and pull that risk, or you're going to go earn it on your own. And so I chose to earn it on my own. And then to answer that question also, as we started developing this, I went into the high risk space. Now, high risk pays more, but it can give you a heart attack, is the truth of that. So we dealt with some high risk merchant accounts and things like that. And between the idea of working extra in the evening and nighttime and grabbing some high risk accounts to help generate some larger cash flow, it was able to get us to the point where we could just focus on normal merchant acquisition. Today, because we were able to withstand that storm, we have some very large accounts. So multi-million-dollar accounts that we're very grateful for. But we got there because we were willing to do whatever it took to survive long enough to be able to acquire some of those merchants.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So having the grit and the fortitude to be able to do the things that most people are not willing to do allowed you the time and space to be able to create those other opportunities for the larger account customers. That's amazing. That's awesome. And very inspiring for sure. Now, so it doesn't sound like you had a whole lot like personal life, business life balance in those early years.
No.
Doesn't sound like it was that at all.
No, there was no girlfriend. There was 15 hours a day,
Grinding.
hoping I didn't have a nightmare when I slept is really what it was in the first couple of years. I don't mean to make it more dramatic than it was, but it was stressful.
Yeah.
It was stressful. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it.
For sure. But now moving in at this stage of your business, what does your balance look like now?
We just do balance. What do you mean?
Your personal life with your business life, like
I'm married. We have 4 kids. I need to eat better, but I exercise. We have 4 dogs. We have a beautiful home. I'm engaged in social activities, all the chamber of commerce in this area, all the networking groups. I know a lot of people. I like a lot of people. I think most of them like me. I sleep well at night. We have a great life today.
Right now, your business stage is giving you more flexibility in your time allocation.
For sure. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't say we're classified as rich, but I don't have to do anything if I don't want to.
Awesome. Yeah. That's real freedom.
Yeah.
So that's really a lot of people's goals, is to try to get to that level.
Yeah.
And the level of work ethic that you need to have to get there, though, it takes time.
Yes.
So very, very rewarding, very refreshing to hear when you put the work in, it does yield its fruits. And so that's an awesome story. I love that.
I think it does as long as the person is clear on the path that's in front of them. I don't just think any business opportunity is going to make it. I think that if you understand the path and understand, is there really an opportunity out here? Is it really achievable? Then yes. But I don't think every business idea is going to pay off. That's just my personal opinion. I think that it needs to be thought out, and you need to know your market.
Absolutely.
Your market.
Absolutely. You need to assess the opportunity.
Yeah.
What's your scalability? What's the limit of your opportunity vehicle that you're in?
Yeah. What's the truth here?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we dealt with in our business. Like we had in our early businesses, I think we've had probably 4 businesses up to this point, right? But it's each of the early businesses, they had a scaling cap of, what is the real opportunity here? And we had to make that adjustment of like, hey, this is not really a real large business opportunity for us. We need to move on. So I think, I have those personal stories for sure. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
So not every idea is a good idea or has from a business perspective has opportunity.
You made me think when I was starting this out, and we were in our first couple of years, and I was always listening. I was waiting for somebody out there who was more successful, and that would have been anybody, to be honest with you. And I heard things like follow the money. Somebody said that one time. I was at a sports bar, and they said follow the money. And for whatever reason, I held on to that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Follow the money. Make sure you go where the opportunity is, where the money's at. and there's know the risks in your business model.
Yeah.
Like know the risk, have a plan,
Yeah.
but stay focused on the plan.
Right.
So I think that's all really awesome advice for sure.
Oh, the other thing, I'm sorry, you made me think of is that for me, I don't think it's a good idea to try to be diversified in businesses. I'm not one personally. For me, I'm not everybody, but for me, I have thought about doing merchant services and insurance and real estate and all this other stuff. My experience for me is that didn't work. What worked is knowing the specific business that you're going to focus on and going all in on that and clearing everything else off the table. One business at a time. That's just my experience. I don't know if that's your experience or not, but that's mine. If I start trying to do too many things, this whole thing could come crumbling down. Yes. Because I need to focus. Where is my path? It's this path. It's not these paths. It's this path. So if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it makes total sense. So I heard somebody say that your attention is like a jar of marbles. Mm-hmm. You only have so many marbles every day, mm-hmm. and you take your attention, you put it into different jars. Mm-hmm. And if you have too many jars, you get nothing accomplished.
That's right.
So you have one jar of marbles, you put everything into that one jar, you're going to accomplish things.
Yeah.
So I heard that somebody said that, but it really makes a lot of sense because time allocation and prioritization is so important. Mm-hmm. We've had to learn that again. The hard way, like a lot of startup businesses do. Being so focused on one goal for one person, I think, is a powerful statement mm-hmm. for anybody in business.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talked about your business, your origin story a little bit. We talked about the challenges. Well, let's talk a little bit more about those challenges because we said it was hard, but what about getting into the merchant services? What were the major obstacles that you had to overcome in getting this business going?
Well, I'd have to put money at the top of the list. It takes money to make money. And as a typical individual who's not a corporation with truckloads of financial opportunity behind them, it becomes very clear that it requires money to market, it requires money to pay rent, it requires money to eat, it requires money to do all the basics of life. And now you've got that reality in front of you, and you're also tasked with the reality that no one knows me. Nobody knows me. And I'm battling up against humongous companies. Square spends $1 billion a year on advertising. I'm a little short, right? But it was just the frustration of taking the no's, right, while you don't have any money. Was challenging. So
how did you overcome those challenges? Like how did you find the access to capital? Was it all self-bootstrapped or did you raise money?
No, I did it on my own.
All bootstrapped.
Yeah.
Those were taking the second and third jobs.
And then I landed some larger accounts.
Awesome.
And then I could breathe.
Awesome. Yeah. How did you handle the objections in the beginning?
The best I could. The best I could. I had been in sales for a while, so I wasn't unfamiliar with no. And then, of course, you got to keep going and find the yes. No's come, objections come. If it's not going to happen, I don't take it personally. Don't throw a fit. Accept it and realize that that's one out of the way to get you closer to the one who's going to say yes. All the things you hear the sales gurus talking about, right? So, and I found that to be true. Because I have had a lot of no's. But it's interesting thinking about that. Today, I got a no today. But I would say the way we market today, I probably get a yes 65% of the time.
Oh, wow.
That's because where we do now is, like I said, we've managed to survive to get some larger accounts, but we do networking. Mm-hmm. We do networking. And those are warmer leads. I mean, some of the people that know me, they will hand me a lead. I will call the person up and just do the right thing to begin with, right? And they just say, send me the application. Because they know somebody else who has put their stamp of authenticity on us. And so that's the world that we work in. I'm just a big proponent of networking. Mm-hmm. as opposed to, and I'm not an expert on marketing or SEO. I don't want anybody to think that, because that's not the case.
Yeah.
I'm just simply saying that from my experience, based upon the money that we have spent on marketing and SEO versus the small monthly fee of a good networking group,
Yeah.
it's not even in the same ballpark. In fact, it's so good in the networking groups, the right networking groups. I don't try to compete with
Yeah.
Wells Fargo and Square.
Yeah.
I just try to form relationships in these communities, networking groups and chambers and things like that.
I love that. So that's a really great piece of advice that anybody can take at any stage of business when they're going up against a bigger Goliath in their industry, is focus doubling down on the relationship building, door to door, go to your networks, get plugged into your community,
Yes,
build those relationships one-on-one
Yeah.
personally, because that's something the big guys can't do. They
Yeah.
can't, because they're behemoths. They cannot afford the time personally to shake hands.
right,
They have to rely on large SEO,
right.
large ad spend on all the big platforms.
Yeah.
And
And I can't compete with that.
nobody can.
Nobody can.
You can't compete
can't
with
do
that. So the
Yeah.
advantage that the little guy has, or the small business has, is being able to go next door and shake those hands and greet those people, make those relationships, get to know them. What's their dog's name? What's their family name? What's their
Right.
anniversary? What do they, send them a birthday note, birthday card, Christmas card, like that real personal touch is what really can make a huge difference in the small business community.
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, if you're asking my opinion or my advice is to anybody who's new and considering that might be the path they want to go. I mean, take the time. When you go into a networking group, I had originally thought, well, this is an opportunity for me to go in here and constantly tell everybody to buy my products. That's not what a networking group is. A networking group is an opportunity for us to go in there and build real relationships with a whole bunch of people. And in other words, when I go into a networking group, I'm supporting them.
Yeah.
All right. I'm helping them. I'm looking to help them first. I'm not knocking on their door. I may say, hey, we do merchant services. I let them know what we do. But my goal isn't to go in there and try to sell everybody in the networking group. My goal is to go in there and try to do right for as many people as I can. So at the end of the day, they might think favorably of me as well. Right?
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's super powerful.
Yeah.
This relationships lead to sales, but you have to gain the trust.
Right.
And the only way to gain trust is through time and experience with people.
Right.
So yeah, that's super powerful.
Yeah.
I love it. So what's one piece of advice that you would give your younger self just starting your business 20 years ago?
Save up money and get into networking groups.
Save up money and get into networking groups.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Because again, you do need a little cushion as you're starting a business. There's no money really coming in yet. So you need a little bit of a cushion there. You need it one way or the other. You need it.
Yep.
You can either go like I did and work in the middle of the night for it, or you can have it set aside, ready to go, and then get into networking groups, because I think the return on investment. I'll give you an example. Some of these networking groups are $10 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't even want to go back and look at the amount of money that I spent on marketing with SEO and those types of things. I don't even want to know.
Yep. Absolutely. No, that's super powerful. Getting plugged into the right groups, and then making sure that you have your emergency fund or your business fund set aside to be able to make it for a little while, because it takes time. You got to you're figuring it out as you go.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to have all the answers, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But the important thing is to start. So, all right, let's talk about your business model a little bit, if you will. How would you describe your current business model in simple terms?
We're remote. We don't have office overhead, but we don't need it in the merchant services space. Nobody's going to be looking to come into a merchant services office and sit down and look at equipment and have a conversation. That's not how this really works, right? A big merchant services companies have office space for their employees,
Hmm.
but they don't really have people coming into that office. Things are handled over the phone and over email and through websites. So
How does somebody get set up with a merchant account?
you just find the right company. We're an agent office for electronic payments,
Hmm.
right? So electronic payments is one of the largest, most reputable ISOs in the United States of America. In fact, I think they write more merchant accounts for First Data than any other company in the United States. So they're direct with Clover. I think they're the only company that's direct with Clover. I mean, they literally handle the tech support
Hmm.
for the Clover accounts. But our process is we just send them an emailed application link. It has a password. They copy the password, click on the link, paste it in there, and it opens up a very simple 7-minute application. Then roughly 24 business hours later, they're approved. And then if they had equipment, then the equipment would be shipped out and so forth. Then we would train them, and then they're up and going. It's pretty simple, really. It's not really a complicated scenario.
Okay. And I think most business owners are probably familiar with point of sale and merchant services because there's fees for credit card fees
Mm-hmm.
and processing fees. QuickBooks has it, Block Square, whatever. But they, how does what would you say would be the differentiator between your business and those other guys?
Like Square?
Mm.
Oh, well, Square's proprietary. And I know that's Jack Dorsey's company,
Mhm.
right? So we started 5 years before them. Not to say that they didn't have more money, and it's why they can afford to spend $1 billion a year on advertising. But if you start with a Square product, you're stuck with the Square environment,
Mhm.
right? They want you to do the Square space, everything Square. If you become unsatisfied with Square, then you're stuck with all of their equipment and you need to get a new merchant account. Our equipment, our setup is non-proprietary. So we get a merchant account. I can plug this in here, get rid of that. You don't like this? I'll take from 160 different other point of sale systems, put it any way you want. We don't have any annual contracts or customer service is superior. I think that's a fair statement.
Mm.
And so we have everything available to us other than the proprietary systems like Square and Toast. So we have everything available to us. So when you come to us, we don't just have one line of products. We have all of them,
Mm.
Clover included.
Awesome. Big differentiator is that you allow your customers to have choice, to be able to
Yeah.
decide what systems they like, what they don't like, and be able to come up with their own solution that fits their needs best.
Right. And on top of that, for most businesses that we work with, if it's just a basic account where they need basic equipment, we just provide the equipment to them.
Mhm.
We don't charge them for it. They can just have it. It's
Awesome.
theirs to use as long as they're processing through us.
Awesome.
And again, at the same time, they're not trapped into an annual contract. So, I mean, it's no contract, better pricing, basic equipment provided at no cost. It's pretty, it makes sense. Tagline is better pricing, better products, better service. And I think that's all accurate.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. So who would you describe as your best customers, or who your ideal customers that you love to connect with? Who do you love to service the most?
Of course, we like large volume customers because there's it's financially beneficial for us. But we all of them. Anybody who's willing to allow us to help them, we're interested in talking to. Whether it's somebody who's doing $500 a month and they just need a little card reader, or they need the tap on the phone service provided to them, just a small account, to $5 million a month. I mean, anybody who's open to having us help them, we're grateful to have the chance to talk with them.
Awesome. So your ideal customers has a wide range.
Yeah.
You have what to you means large volume? Like, what is a large volume customer for you?
100,000 a month and up.
100,000 a month in sales and revenue.
Yeah.
So
in credit card processing dollars. Yeah.
Credit card processing dollars, 100,000. So that's actually, I think, probably a good amount of people like that. That's a good customer, in the small business world for sure. We talked about networking. Mm-hmm. So you said that networking is kind of where you get most of your referrals, your network. Would you say that that's basically where you get most of your customers from, is from those networking events right now, today?
Yeah, the large customers that we've gotten some large customers from the networking events, but some of those large customers also came from us buying leads, right? Buying leads. Depends on what space that you're in, but I think that there's different things people could go. They just need to figure out, I guess, what it is they're most comfortable with. But we have landed some larger accounts from those companies that provide merchant services leads.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And can you share a story about a customer who really impacted your business?
Well, I mean, there's a portable storage building company in Texas that we have 24 locations with. And I can tell you they impacted our business. And that was one of the ones that we got from purchasing leads. Yeah. And I remember that conversation from way back. And she was irritated with her bank. She was angry with her bank. And she didn't have much of a positive vibe towards me in the beginning. And I can remember I was, I think I was 3 years in. And I kind of stopped her and cut her off because I was passionate. I was going to do better than they were, for sure. And I told her that as directly as I could without being offensive. And for whatever reason, that worked with her.
Correct.
She handed me the whole kit and caboodle. And that was the beginning of the breathable time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. That's the right opportunity, the right time.
Yeah.
And then you work hard.
You gotta stay in there, Yeah. You don't know where it's coming from. You gotta be in there.
How much of your business today is from paying for leads versus networking?
Right now, I'm not paying for leads too much right now.
Nope.
We have several accounts, but we have some larger accounts that are kind of the core base.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not really doing any of the lead purchasing right now. I'm just focusing on the networking.
Love it. So,
and because I'm older, I'm a little lazier today, if I was being honest, right? We're okay. We've gone through the heart attack phase and the stroke phase. And so I just really enjoy, at this point in my life, I just really enjoy the warmth of the networking groups. They may not be gigantic, but they definitely add up.
Yeah.
They definitely add up.
Love it.
So
let's transition a little bit here as we're kind of coming towards the end of the segment. But where do you see your business going in the next 5-10 years? Like, what's your vision for your company, your payments company here?
I would think that some people would maybe want to hear me say that I'm focused on world domination, but I'm really not. There's 4 of us in the company. 3 of them work in the high risk department, in the high risk space. And so I myself just work in normal merchant acquisition. We have enough, and I really appreciate the quality of life that we have. And I think that we will just continue on as we are for the next 5 or 6 years, and be there for our customers on a service level. But I think that might be the end of it.
So one of the things that we've been noticing a pattern in people that we're interviewing is there's a lot of people that simply build businesses to support their own lifestyle, and how normal that actually is.
Yeah.
Like, you build a business, you don't have to go and be the next $1 billion startup. You don't have to be Elon Musk at going to space.
That's
right?
right.
Like, you can have a really good business, and it provides for your family, provides for your future, and you can live the life that you want to live without having to make it $1 billion company. Right? And it's kind of for me, it was a mental reframe, because, being early on, consuming a lot of content, a lot of the bigger influencers in the podcast space about business and such, like, everybody's like, rah, 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 we're going to build this. It's going to be, we're going to get it to 100,000, 100 million, and then it's going to be $1 billion company, and you just need to be better. And, yes, you can take that path if you want it, but it's perfectly fine and really humbling to see people building businesses that they can support the life that they want to live and be able to support their families on a real basis, right? And that's really what entrepreneurship is like, it's given you the freedom and the flexibility to live the life that you've wanted. And it can do that for other people if they're willing to put in the work.
Yeah, I am as guilty as anybody as they get into the business. Like, when I was working in the high risk space with my partners, I mean, the money that was coming in was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I had the money in a new car. I'll take one of these. Give me 6 of those, you know. But along with that, in the high risk space, there's a lot of stress involved in it. Where it really comes down to what you're comfortable with, your quality of life. Today, I am absolutely okay with enough.
Mm-hmm.
And just because managing multiple agents and having all these employees, that has a whole different set of mental strains and concerns. And yes, the money is fantastic, but I like what you said. I mean, for me, again, we're grateful for the success that we've had. For me, it comes down just the quality of life, and that's good enough for me. I don't need to own the world. I don't need to own the world.
It's also so refreshing too, because you have to be real with yourself and honest with yourself about what you want. You knew what you wanted. You went out, you got what you wanted.
Yeah.
And now you found contentment in that.
Yeah.
And that you can have contentment in business ownership.
Yes.
You can be satisfied and fulfilled in what you do, and building a lifestyle that makes sense for you, and building, that freedom that you wanted. Business owners that have gone through and sacrificed and made those early sacrifices and now get to enjoy the fruits of their labor right now, that it's, there's nothing wrong with being able to enjoy life.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So I love that freedom for different people means different things.
Yeah.
And you've obviously achieved a level of freedom that you wanted, and that's awesome. That's super powerful to see. Like you achieved the success. You've checked that box.
Yeah.
So I say thank you very much for that inspiration. What's one more piece of information that you want to leave somebody, maybe younger people looking to start their businesses? What's one piece of advice you want to give them that you want to leave the audience?
I think it's good to dream. I think it's good to think and envision. And then I think the next step is start getting input from as many people that have achieved that as you possibly can. Those people know, they've been through the things that we're talking about. They know the realities of them, the pros and the cons, the stress and the no stress, the markets. If I had a chance to go back and talk to the very young Joel that didn't really know what it was that he wanted, I would tell him to, keep a clear head, let the mind create and let the mind dream. And I would say that start getting around people that are successful business-wise, and get to know them and have them fill you with as much information as you can possibly get. We did well, but the truth is I started it a little later than I should have. I just didn't know. Just get around as many successful people as you can, and take, for lack of better words, steal all the information that they have. Get it from them. Usually those people are, for the most part, more than happy to try to share some of that information with somebody who might be thinking about going down that same path. But dream, and then get information from as many successful people as you possibly can.
Love it. Joel, thank you very much for your time today. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
You'll be able to find Joel and HMF Balling Incorporated, a link to their website, a link to their services in the description. Please check them out if you are in the need for having that pain point of dealing with painful merchant service providers and point of sales. So we know somebody that can help you out. But we thank you again for your time, and we'll see you guys next time.